Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while. However, the very important part of maintenance on the vehicle fleet is something that I do right before the winter and the fall hits and it gets so rainy out that it's really hard to get motivated to do some work on the vehicle. But let me show you my little maintenance board here and I'll show you what's going on today. So, as you can see here, if you can avoid looking at the reflection of the light in there. Here, let me dim this down a bit. Maybe that'll help. Oh, that made it worse. Anyway, this is kind of a board, dry erase board that I keep up to date with what needs to be done on the vehicles. And as you can see, the last time we did an oil change on Abel was exactly a year ago. So at 28,635 miles. So we're going to go outside today and I'm going to show you some of the ever important part numbers you're going to need for your mechanical cat 3116. Keep in mind that I have the 290 horsepower upgrade done on my motor, which is the governor and the turbo and the fuel rack adjustment, and they did a valve adjustment at that time too, which was, wow, it's been almost 2 years now. Truck's still running strong. Everything's working as it should. And I've also got some updates to show you guys that we've been working on behind the scenes. One of the first things I want to show you guys is I upgraded my Garmin diesel cam to a ram mount. Now this thing is way more robust than the factory option, which kind of bounced around and just wasn't grabbing hard like it should anymore. The ball mount probably got worn out on it, but this thing is not going to wear out. So anyways, that's kind of a nice upgrade. But let's go outside and I'll get you up to date on what else has been going on behind the scenes. Okay, here's the other section of the RAN mount, which basically puts the Garmin nice and flush with my ammo can here. And it's a really nice addition. It was only about 50 bucks for that setup for the Garmin diesel cam. If you have an Overlander Garmin, it's the same exact one. I will try and leave a link in the description, although any links that I leave in the description, I want to let you guys know right now that the stuff doesn't last. So if you're hemming and hawing over something because it's $5 more than you think it should be, by the time you go to get it, you'll probably never see it again. So I always need to leave that disclosure now that these vehicles have become so popular in the overland community and the expedition vehicle builds. The stuff doesn't last. So if I leave a link in the description and you're one of the first people to watch the video, please take a look at the stuff and do something with it. A lot of the eBay links I don't earn any money on, but it's just there for you guys. The Amazon links I do earn a small portion of income, which helps keep the channel going, and I greatly appreciate it when you guys use those links. The other thing that we did here is I upgraded the trailer vent. The one that I had in there was inset on the roof and it started to rust out and then it started leaking. So I replaced it with this aluminum one. Let me show you what it looks like from the roof here, if I can get up here. So it's got more of a pop-out style setup on it, which is similar to the Snowcat ones. It's the exact same ones I use on the Snowcat. But yeah, it's aluminum, and I got a quick coat of paint on it before it started raining out, but we upgraded that and got rid of the old one that was on there. And this one's actually a little bit bigger, and it provides a little bit more airflow. So it was kind of a win-win situation. I will leave a link in the description for one of those as well. One of the other random small things we were having issues with was I used grade 5 bolts to mount the ladder and roof rack, and those started to weather pretty bad. So I just pulled everything out and put grade 8 hardware in there. Not really well, I guess it is kind of an upgrade, but just something to keep in mind if you're building one of these trucks. Make sure you use the hardware that can withstand the harshest weather conditions. Moving right along here, let's go inside the shelter. just want to give you guys a quick review on the makeover we did recently with the shelter. Willow and I have gone out a couple times for some test periods. I haven't put any Adventures of Abel series up because it's just a one night, hurry up, get there, camp for a few hours, and then come home type setup. However, last weekend was unbelievable. We went up to this area. It was at probably about 4,000 foot elevation, and it stormed the entire night. It was raining, it was windy, the shelter was rocking back and forth the entire night. And the one thing I want to say is that the radiant floor heat on this is amazing. It heats up everything. So it was probably about, I don't know, 38 to 42 degrees at night. And the wind was just ripping. And that heater, the Eberspatcher, would turn on every couple hours while we were sleeping for maybe half an hour to 45 minutes, and then it would shut off for a couple hours. And the reason it comes on so infrequently is because it just heats everything in the shelter up. So it's a big difference from having the fan blowing hot air out and then just turning off right away, because it gets the air temperature up quick, but then it's turning on every, half an hour for 10-15 minutes, which kind of interrupts your sleep pattern. So if you're thinking about building out an S280 or an S680 or an S580 or whatever version of the box you have, this is the winterized one that was on a cell phone repeater site. I won't get into that. You can go way back in the beginning of the build series and see how I came up with this. But radiant floor heat is a big game changer in these shelters, and it's so nice to step down in the morning to a nice warm floor, and it heats. We've got a plate exchanger for the shower and everything, so it just kind of kills everything with one modification. You got your engine block being heated, so when you get in the cab, you turn the heat on, you have heat right away. Anyhow, yeah, that works out great. These windows are another awesome thing. Strangely enough, they don't sweat at all. So the Arctic Tern windows are really impressive as far as being a great replacement for what we had in there. And now we have the brightness combined with the ability to open the window in the middle of the night, or you can see people coming and going if they're coming into your campsite. It's hunting season, so we ran into quite a few people that it just seems like they're really bold to be coming up close to a rigged out or an armored up military vehicle when it's starting to get dark out. So this thing right here that you guys kind of saw a quick glimpse of is very handy for those situations, although I don't even know what to say. Just people are getting so bold lately that it's just, you never know what you're going to run into out in the forest. Anyhow, enough of me rambling. Let's get on to the maintenance that we're going to be doing here on it. Just want to give you guys a heads up that I guess it's kind of inevitable, but the comment section is going to go crazy over what kind of oil is the best to use. Now I'm just going to show you guys how to do an oil change, or how I do my oil change on the truck. There's probably 1,000 different ways to do it, but I don't think I've covered it on this channel. I think Neil's covered it, and Neil VVT and Dave Anderson, Helicool's Helipad, has covered it on their channel. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing something there, but this is just the way I do it. Now, keep in mind, I know this is kind of controversial, that if you have any leaks on your vehicle and you go from a conventional oil to a synthetic oil, it will make those leaks that you currently had from conventional oil look like a sieve. For whatever reason, and I've never figured this out, somebody probably knows, or you can go on bobistheoilguide.com and figure it out. Synthetic oils will leak out a lot faster than a conventional oil will if you have a leak. Now, it doesn't create leaks, which was a big myth that was kind of busted a long time ago. But what it does is I think the synthetic gets to a viscosity that's a lot thinner, and it can get through and into surfaces and openings a lot easier than the conventional can. So just something to keep in mind if you guys decide to go synthetic. I'm sticking with the the conventional, because the motor was built for conventional tolerances. I don't know if that means anything, but once you get into like the C7 version of this motor, then yeah, they've built it for more of a synthetic version of oil. Anyhow, let me give you some part numbers here. If you've got a Cat 3116, either the 225 horsepower or 290 horsepower version, this is your oil filter that you're going to need. If you go on Adept Ape's channel, he talks about to fill or not to fill this oil filter before you put it on. Do not fill the oil filter is his advice, and he's been working on these trucks a lot longer than I have. So you basically put some oil on the O-ring, spin that baby on, and then you give it an extra turn after you get it hand tight. So that's a very simple way of doing it. On the Stewart and Stevenson trucks, here is a part number for you. This is an O-ring that if you don't put on, you're going to wonder why your oil pan bolt is leaking like crazy. So you can find these on eBay. I will try and leave a link in the description for them if I can find them again, but I bought a 10-pack. Every time you do an oil change, just replace this O-ring. It's really helpful. One thing I always do once a year as well is change out the fuel filter. We'll be doing that today. And you basically hit all of them with one maintenance session, and then you're done. This truck has a 6.7 liter motor. You're going to need about 6.7 gallons of oil, strangely enough. So I've got 7 of them here ready to go. The cheapest place I've found to buy these is on Walmart. Once in a while you can find an Amazon price that beats it, but for the most part it's Walmart. So let me show you how I get the filters set up. There's a way I do that, and then we'll get the truck spun around and get ready to do the oil change and the filter changes. Alright guys, I'm here in the cab with a couple of Sharpies and both of the filters. So one thing I always do every time I do an oil change on this big old truck is I write today's date and the mileage on it on both sides of the filter, because when you spin this on, you never know where it's going to end up. So you can see it on both sides. So it's the 16th of October today, 10/16/21, and we are at a whopping 33,103 miles. The reason I do this is, well, for some of you, if you don't have a dry erase board like I do, it's going to come in pretty handy. But it just gives you a reminder of when to swap out this craziness, the filters and stuff. It's always best to do right before winter, I've figured out, just from personal experience, I guess. Or you could do it right after winter, or whatever you want to do. Anyhow, get both of your filters labeled. That way you know. It's just a good habit to get into, I guess. I can't believe I have this many miles on the truck. They say that the motor on a Cat engine doesn't get broken in until about 50,000 miles, so we're still a ways off by that. And there you go. That's all you need, is just something really simple like that. Get both sides of the filter labeled so you can see it no matter what direction it ends up in when you spin it on. Same thing with the fuel filter. Pretty basic stuff. Normally, you guys are watching this from the work table, but today you're going to come on a 1-block ride with me. oil up a little bit too before you do an oil change. Not much, just a little bit, you know. It comes out a lot easier. You'll get more of it out of the motor if you do warm up the engine a little bit, especially on a cooler day. I want to show you guys something. Hopefully you'll be able to see this, but another reason why I love these trucks, this is going to be hard to see. I'll do my best. So right up in this area here, I've had a very slight front main seal and air compressor gasket leak. Now I've been monitoring it and keeping an eye on it, and it's pretty much virtually disappeared. So I mean, it's getting a little bit wet, but before it used to cover this whole area with oil and down on top of the transmission cooler and everything. But these trucks are self-healing if you take them out at least once a month and heat cycle them. So if you have a leak that's not severe and you're driving your truck regularly and you keep an eye on it, 9 times out of 10 it's going to heal itself. The exception is the pinion seals. The pinion seals sometimes don't. I don't think they get warm enough to heal themselves, or they don't get heat cycled enough to bring the rubbery, silicone-y texture back. But some of this other stuff, it's pretty amazing that it just kind of clears up on its own. And as you can see, if you look under my truck here, I have a very rare cat motor because it is clean. You don't see like tons of oil leaks and everything on it. This red grease here is just fling off from the drive shaft that I grease every 1,000 miles, or between 1,000 and 2,000 miles. I always add grease to the drive shaft, the U-joints. It's a good safety measure. And if you just come back and look at everything, I have a pretty luck of the draw. It's just some of the seals are wet, but they're not leaking. But I don't have, like a lot of these guys you'll see will have massive leaks on these things, but because of neglect or not driving them around enough. And at some point somebody did the transmission line upgrade on my truck already. Normally those are metal pipes, and these are the preferred versions. Anyhow, something I thought I'd show you guys. It's pretty neat. I really like that about these trucks. Let's get on with the oil change. So just so you guys know, I'm not sure what material these O-rings are made of, but I have tried using a standard O-ring and they always leak. So there's some sort of a secret going on at Cat. Either these O-rings are made out of a special material that expands when it heats up, or whatever the deal is, but it's always a good idea to just replace these every time. You never know if they're going to leak if you try to reuse them, so just replace them. Oh, by the way, there was 0 shavings on my magnet when I pulled it, which was pretty impressive. I think the first oil change I did, there was just a little bit of fuzz on there, and now there's nothing, so that's a really good sign. All right, we got everything swapped out. Took about an hour. If you're wondering, I didn't show it on camera, but yes, I did prime the filter. I filled it up about 3/4 of the way, and then used the primer pump to pump until I heard the air bubbles in the system go into the fuel tank. So that's something you want to make sure you do. Don't leave that one dry. I mean, you can leave it dry and then fill it with the primer. It just takes a while. So anyhow, I got that done. The oil filter was fun. You may have noticed the vice grips kind of flying into the drain pan there. That was fun fishing those out. Anyhow, I got that swapped out. Now the nerve-wracking part is firing the truck up and listening for clackety noises. Well, I don't hear any weird noises, so that's always a good thing. Let's make sure nothing's leaking. Oh, got a little bit of leftover oil there. Looking good. Let's get the cab back down. Now we'll start it in the cab. Make sure there's oil pressure. And I think that's going to be a done deal. We got oil pressure, we're good. Lots of oil pressure. Well guys, that's pretty much all there is to me doing these oil changes. I'm going to do my best to leave a bunch of links in the description for some of the parts that I was talking about in this video. But like I said, don't think twice, because that stuff disappears fast when people watch these videos. So anyhow, I think that's probably going to be it for this episode. If you guys like this episode, give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, I'd love to have you as a subscriber. And as always, I hope you guys are staying safe, taking care of each other, and I'll catch you next time. See you later. Bye-bye.